The owners of an Oregon bakery who had refused to make a wedding cake for a lesbian couple have to pay $135,000 in damages for refusing to bake that cake, according to a state official last week. That was last Thursday. Oregon Labor Commissioner Brad Avakian agreed with a preliminary ruling that Sweet Cakes by Melissa illegally discriminated against a Portland couple in 2013 by turning down their request based solely on their sexual orientation. The judge had actually ordered Aaron and Melissa Klein, owners of Sweet Cakes by Melissa, to pay $75,000 in damages to Rachel Bowman-Cry and another $60,000 to her wife, Laurel Bowman-Cryer. Now, this has been a case that's been raging for a long time, at least past couple of years. This happened back in 2013. And, of course, a lot of people, or some people on the conservative side, definitely completely disagree. They claim that it's religious freedom, and actually the Kleins themselves argued that, look, hey, we don't want to make this cake because that means we're participating in a same-sex wedding that violates our First Amendment religious beliefs, right? And in order to go against this ruling, Oregon law says that you cannot discriminate and you will be fined. They were fined earlier, and so in order to pay those fines, they set up a fundraiser, GoFundMe, that was immediately torn down, or I should say taken down for this whole thing. So, I mean... So the ruling finally came down. They owe $135,000 for discrimination. What do you think about this whole thing? Where I stand, I don't think you should be allowed to legally discriminate against people just for when it comes to their gender or sexual orientation.
Yeah. Like, it seems like you were setting me up to disagree with that. Like, well, I think you can. Like, no, of course I don't think you should.
Right.
I guess to try to, stimulate some, dissenting discussion, I do think the fee is a bit high. I mean, that is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I did think that, I thought, wow, that's a little... But yeah, I mean, what bothers me most about this whole thing is that the people on the right, they kind of make martyrs out of these bigots, basically, and they try to bring it back to the First Amendment issue. And that's not what's going on here. This is just whether or not we're going to allow open discrimination, and the answer is no, we're not going to allow it. And this is me going back to a law class I took a while ago, but there are parameters with the First Amendment, and one of the things that is not protected is any type of speech that would, potentially harm a group of people. So openly discriminating against groups of people could potentially be harm, and that's generally not protected.
Right, and one thing that they always try to bring it back to is the Nazi case. Like, oh, well, if you're gonna, make a baker have to make a cake for a same-sex couple, then you're going to have to make it for Nazis. Why does everything always go back to the Nazis? I don't quite understand that whole thing. But that's one of the things that they have to say. But
that's Glenn Beck's favorite analogy.
I know,
he loves bringing everything back to that.
But there's a huge difference.
Oh, of course there's a huge difference. I mean, the one is just, you're discriminating against people based on who they are. The other would be, hey, I don't know if I want to create these ideas on my cakes. I mean, those are complete apples and oranges. And again, I mean, this goes back, if you're going to try to make it like a free speech thing, you can't, I mean, a business owner could be like, look, I don't want to make a Nazi cake for your Nazi friends. That's a way different than being like, well, we don't serve group X based on this. We don't serve this group of people based on their sexual orientation. Those are apples and oranges, big time.
Right, and of course the other thing is they say, well, we don't want to do it because we're participating in their wedding ceremony that goes against our religious beliefs. How are you participating by making a cake? You're not actually in the ceremony itself, right? No, you're making it for the after party, which has nothing to do with the actual marriage ceremony. It's just a It's just a reception where you eat.
Yeah, and you were just hired to provide a service that you provide, or provide a good that you provide.
Right.
You make cakes. That's it. That's the end of the story. I mean, that's like the same logic as there's a meme out there on social media that I saw where it's like, well, it just says like, well, does that mean that any Christian person that owns a gun store, if they sell a gun to somebody, did they participate in a murder? It's the same logic.
Right. And that's a good example of that. Now, of course, they have more to say on this. This couple that got fined. In an email to the Huffington Post, this bakery said the decision was absolutely wrong. Americans should tolerate diverse opinions. Oh, interesting. But not use the government to punish fellow citizens with different views.
Tolerate our intolerance.
But
what's wrong with you?
But you're punishing fellow citizens for who they are, based on nothing but like one passage from Leviticus that's right next to the passage where you shouldn't eat shrimp.
Jeff, you're being really intolerant right now.
I know.
You're very intolerant of their intolerance.
The question is too, if it's against your religious beliefs to service gay people, then it should also be against your religious beliefs to service people who have gotten a divorce. Divorce is not sanctioned in the Bible. In fact, they're against divorce, right? So before they make a cake for another wedding for Donald Trump's third or fourth wedding or something like that, they should ask him, how many times have you gotten divorced? Oh, sorry, we can't serve you. No, that wouldn't happen because they selectively cherry pick certain things out there in order to, do the hate of the day.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that a Bible literalist wouldn't be the best baker in the world, because I don't want my cake being prepared by somebody who has never had a haircut in their life. I don't know. That might freak me out a little bit. It
might not be sanitary.
I don't think so. Never having. I mean, come on.
Certainly. So, look, they made the right decision. As much as people want to try to make this a religious argument, it's not a religious argument. It's an argument of whether or not people have the right to be treated and equally when it comes to getting services and goods. You can't just say that I don't want to serve this person because I disagree with them. I mean, it sort of leads to the whole we get back to, for an example, there was a gun store that didn't want to serve Muslims, right? Mm-hmm. Based on who they are.
Yeah. It's not about freedom of speech. It's about open discrimination. And you know what? We had that at one point in this country, and it didn't work out too well. So we don't want to have it again, and we shouldn't have it again.
Absolutely. That's all I've got for that one.
Me too.
It should be, the sad thing about this is that this should be standard. People should know better that, hey, maybe you shouldn't discriminate against other people for not agreeing with who they are. It's not just the lifestyle that they live. They always like to point out the gay life. It's a gay lifestyle that I disagree with. No, that's who they are. That's the core of their being. Just like you claim that you're a Christian and that's a core of your being. That's part of who you are deep inside. Well, so is being gay. So is being, you can't just say that, no, I'm gonna hate you because of that. I'm gonna discriminate against you because I'm uncomfortable with that. And it's not about cakes. And that's the important thing too. This isn't just about cakes. This is about any service provided by, whether it be a for-profit company or even a government entity. You should not be able to refuse you a service based on who you are. And today, even now that we have same-sex marriage legal in 50 states, we don't have protections for people who can still get fired for being who they are, and still even have, Oregon is the state that actually passed something progressive that says that, hey, we've codified in the law that you can't discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation. But there's many states out there that don't have those protections.
It's true.
And so, look, same-sex marriage is legal, but there's still a lot of work to be done all across America in order to bring in full equality for these people and protect them for who they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.